So something kind of wild just happened in the laptop world. In the past month alone, we've seen two completely different MacBooks launch, and both of them are shaking things up in a big way. On one side, there's the new MacBook Neo, a $600 machine that honestly feels way too good for its price. And on the other end, there's the fully loaded M5 Max MacBook Pro, which is basically pushing laptop performance into absurd territory. I've been testing a max-out 16-inch model. We're talking around $6,000, and the numbers are kind of ridiculous. The multi-core CPU performance, best I've ever seen on a Mac. The GPU, somehow outperforming even the M2 Ultra from a Mac Pro that costs way more. And the SSD speeds getting dangerously close to 20,000 megabytes per second. It's honestly insane. This thing is a dream machine for creative professionals. But here's the thing, it's not just about Apple making good laptops. These two machines, especially the Neo, are starting to put serious pressure on the entire Windows ecosystem. And that got me thinking, what's actually going on the Windows side right now? So I started digging. I tested a bunch of Windows laptops, did some benchmarking, spent time with different models, and the more I looked into it, the more one comparison kept coming back to me. Windows versus Mac laptops feels a lot like Android versus iPhone, because just like Android, Windows has one massive advantage: variety. You've got options from Dell, HP, Asus, Lenovo, Razer, different designs, specs, price points. There's something for everyone. But that same advantage is also starting to look like a weakness. Take this, for example, the Dell XPS 14. This used to be one of my favorite laptop lines, and to be fair, this new one is still really good. You've got a 14-inch 2.8K OLED display, super thin bezels, 120Hz refresh rate, the build is all metal, feels premium, and the trackpad is this huge hidden haptic surface. Inside, it's running Intel's latest Core Ultra chip with integrated graphics, 32 gig RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, solid specs. But then there are quirks. Only Thunderbolt ports, no SD card slot, no proper lip to open the lid easily. And the keyboard, probably the weakest part, a bit shallow and slightly awkward layout. This is a $2,200 laptop. It should feel perfect, but it doesn't quite get there. And that's where the bigger issue comes in. For a Windows laptop like this to feel truly premium, everything has to go right at the same time. Dell has to nail the design and build. Intel has to deliver a great chip. Microsoft has to make Windows feel polished and clean. If even one of those falls short, the whole experience suffers. And lately, Windows itself has started to feel like the weak link. It's not broken, it works fine, but it doesn't feel premium. Setting up a new Windows laptop still takes way too long. Updates, sign-ins, prompts for services like OneDrive and Microsoft 365. Then once you're in, you might see ads on a $2,000 machine. There's also all the AI stuff being pushed, Copilot everywhere, new features people didn't ask for, even AI inside apps like Paint. And now there's a dedicated Copilot key required on new keyboards. All of that adds friction, and when you're paying premium prices, that friction stands out even more. Now compare that to Apple. For years, they've focused almost entirely on the high-end experience. Their advantage? Vertical integration. They design the chip, the hardware, and the software together. Everything is optimized to work as one system. That's why MacBooks feel fast, smooth, and efficient, even without crazy specs on paper. Now, here's where things get really interesting. That same efficiency that made Macs dominant at the high end is now showing up at the low end, because the MacBook Neo just dropped the entry price to $600, even lower with student discounts, and it doesn't feel like a cheap laptop. You're getting solid metal build, great keyboard and trackpad, clean, optimized Mac OS, efficient Apple Silicon. So for most people, unless they specifically need Windows for something, this becomes incredibly hard to ignore. Now look at a typical budget Windows laptop, something like the Acer series. Around $500 to $600, you get plastic build, decent performance, good battery, bigger screen, more ports. And honestly, these laptops have been perfectly fine for basic use, but now they're competing directly with something that feels way more premium at the same price. And here's the real challenge for Windows manufacturers. To build a great laptop, they rely on multiple companies, each needing to make a profit. Apple doesn't have that problem. They control everything from chip production to software. They can optimize costs in ways others simply can't. And there's another layer to this. Apple isn't just selling hardware. The MacBook Neo is basically an entry point into their ecosystem. They're okay making less profit on the device itself because they know new users will spend on services later, iCloud, AppleCare, subscriptions, etc. So they can afford to be aggressive with pricing. And it's already working. Apple recently mentioned that they're seeing a record number of first-time Mac buyers. So yeah, this isn't just a couple of new laptops. This is a shift. The high-end MacBook Pro is pushing performance limits. The low-end MacBook Neo is redefining value. And together, they're putting serious pressure on the entire Windows laptop market. Now, the big question is, how does the Windows side respond? Do they improve software? Do they rethink pricing? Do they double down on unique features like gaming and customization? Because if nothing changes, Apple might not just compete, it might start taking over a much bigger chunk of the market. And honestly, it's going to be really interesting to watch what happens next.